Okay, guys, this is the mini lesson for issue number 7 and issue number 8. Let me go to present mode and get you where you need to be for Wednesday. Okay, make sure this was submitted. This should have been done on submitted on Tuesday for 7 on Uncle Tom's Cabin. This is Harriet Beecher Stowe writing a book that went viral, indicating the atrocities and the evils of slavery. So make sure that that is completed and submitted to Canvas on Tuesday, which should have been yesterday. Okay, the new issue is continuing. Something was Violence is kind of broken out already with the Nat Turner's rebellion, and also with the other issue with Bleeding Kansas. Okay, that would be cause number 5. And violence is going to continue, but this time it's a little bit different. It's going to continue actually in Congress. It's actually going to continue in Washington, D.C. on the floor. And so there is a lot of tension between the Southern representatives and the Northern representatives in Congress. And so Charles Sumner said something about Senator Butler, and it was taken as offense by Senator Butler's relative, Preston Brooks. Did not like this insult that Charles Sumner had on the Sumner on during a speech on the Senate floor, and so he took it as a insult not only to his family but also to South Carolinians, and so he takes out his cane. Preston Brooks takes out his cane, a Southerner, and used his cane to beat Charles Sumner to the floor. He hit him so hard the first time that it actually blood was just pouring off of his face, Charles Sumner's face, and then he continued to beat him with it, almost killing him. He was out for months, and I don't believe he ever returned back to Congress as a result of this beating in Congress. So it's getting very, very violent. Please watch this video. This video explains it a lot better. Southerners, I can't even believe this, but Southerners actually sent Preston Brooks gifts, and they sent him gifts. They sent him canes as gifts and little notes that said "hit him again." So this is breaking out to becoming ugly. And this is now like the turning point where it's like there is no more turning back to civility and peace. War is imminent. After this happens, war is now imminent, and the Civil War is just right around the corner. Fighting in Congress. There's a good picture here, 1856, when our elected representatives are physically beating each other on the Senate floor. We know now that the country is in deep trouble. Please watch this video. This is issue number 8. No, I'm sorry, number 7. I'm sorry. Yes, number 7. Number 7 is the Dred Scot decision. And it's an issue about just being human. And the Supreme Court came back with a decision that was atrocious. And it was, I mean, awful. The Supreme Court made a huge mistake coming back with this ruling after the Dred Scot Supreme Court decision. Dred Scot was a slave for the Army in the slave state Missouri. We all know that with the Missouri Compromise. Scott traveled with his doctor owner for many years throughout free areas such as Illinois and Wisconsin. So when his owner ended up dying and passing away, Scott thought that he was free because he was in free areas. No slavery was allowed in Illinois and Wisconsin. So the question is, should Dred Scott be considered free? Well, he loses, goes to many different court battles, and it finally gets to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court came back after hearing the case in 1857. The ruling came back from this Supreme Court justice. His name was Justice Robert Taney from Maryland. He comes back that slaves were not citizens of the United States, and had no rights to sue in federal courts. By the way, real fast, quick note, Amendment 15, I know that I'm kind of fast forwarding here, but Amendment 15, after the Civil War has ended, overturns the Dred Scott decision. So please keep that in mind. Slaves were property of, going back now to the Supreme Court ruling, the ruling said that the slaves were not citizens of the U.S. and had no rights to sue in federal court. It also did a couple other things. The decision ruled that the Missouri Compromise back in 1820 was unconstitutional, and Congress could not prohibit slavery in any of the territories. So that 3630 line now is completely destroyed. Slavery now has a possibility of expanding through the Blue Unit principle of popular sovereignty. This is real quick. Please read this. Blacks are not and cannot be. This is what he said, by the way. Blacks are not and cannot be U.S. citizens. They are property and have no right to be in a court asking for rights. As long as I am talking, let me also say that the Missouri Compromise violates the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which protects property. A slave owner can take his property wherever he wants to go, was his ruling. The court's decision on this was obviously one of the worst rulings in United States history. And so, obviously, this appeased and really made the Southerners extremely happy. They didn't. Abraham Lincoln's comment here was perfect. Northerners obviously were not happy, but Abraham Lincoln said it is strange that the Southerners slam the federal government, except when a part of that government, the Supreme Court, rules in their favor. This land cannot endure this way, half slave and half free. Abraham Lincoln is now indicating that we are in a lot of trouble, and the nation is divided, extremely divided, half slave promoting and half promoting that slavery is wrong and illegal and should be illegal. So the country is just in two. It's split in half. Okay, issue 7. Who was Dred Scot? What happened to his owner? I kind of indicated that already. Why did Dred Scott think that he should be free? What was the ruling of the Supreme Court? You can just refer back to this slide right here, or this slide right here, by the way, at the bottom. These two right here, the ruling, 2 bullet points here, would indicate what the ruling was for the Supreme Court, which compromise was ruled unconstitutional as a result of the Dred Scott decision. We already went over that. Missouri Compromise, 1820. Please put a date here. Find a real picture of Roger Taney, and be careful because it's not the most attractive picture you'll find online. Insert a picture of Dred Scott. Insert a map of the free and slave states before the Civil War. Okay. This is issue number 8. This also needs to be addressed and submitted on Wednesday as well. This is cause number 8. Cause number 8 is the Lincoln-Douglas debates. Please watch this video here. The Lincoln-Douglas debates is kind of like when Hillary and Trump had debates, and Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders have had debates. Obviously, Trump is going to have a debate, whoever the presidential nominee is for the Democrat Party coming up this summer and before the election. These are debates. This was one of the most, popular debates, and it really kind of kicks off presidential debate, the debating issues prior to an election. When running for Congress, Abraham Lincoln and Stephen Douglas had a series of debates. So Abraham Lincoln and Douglas were running for a congressional seat, not president yet. And this debate became famous throughout the country about the issue of slavery. The debate placed Lincoln in the public eye and made him known as an opponent to slavery. So what you need to take from this, guys, is that Abraham Lincoln now became known to the public about his views about slavery. Now people know that Abraham Lincoln is opposed to slavery. Stephen Douglas argued for that states and areas should have use popular sovereignty, which is voting, and to decide the issue of slavery. That was his argument. Lincoln argued that our country cannot survive being half slave and half free. Uh, just to let you know real fast that Stephen Douglas did win that congressional Senate seat. Lincoln lost. However, as you'll know, in 1861, this is when Lincoln, or 1860, I believe, Lincoln then goes and is the presidential nominee, and he tries to get elected for president. And we all know that, according to your rap, he wins. So Abraham Lincoln becomes the 16th president of our great land. But I kind of fast forwarded there. But he loses. Lincoln lost in this Senate seat. Okay, real fast. Issue 8. Please upload this slide. Explain Douglas's argument about slavery. Explain Lincoln's argument about slavery. Who won the debate? Who was made famous during the debate? And what about Lincoln's quote, "Our country cannot survive half slave and half free"? What does that mean? Please put a date for the debate. You can find it on this slide. Insert a picture of Stephen Douglas. Insert a picture of Abraham Lincoln. Insert a picture of the Lincoln-Douglas debates. There are some photos online, pictures online. By the way, cameras are invented. Up to this point now, you will see a lot of pictures at this point that are actually black and white, real pictures, not paintings. So our next issue we will address is the John Brown's raid, another violent issue. We will be talking about that on Thursday. So just keep that in mind. But get this submitted. Cause 8 on Wednesday and cause 7 on Wednesday as well into the Canvas assignment. Okay, guys, that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, I will see you at 11 on every day on Google Hangout, or I will see you I will also see you from 3 to 4 if you need help every day on Google Hangout. Okay, guys, talk to you soon. Bye.